State your name.
Caden Hare.
Sabina Gonzalez.
Evelyn Wynn.
Caleb Hood.
How does it feel being blamed for something you didn't do?
That's never happened to me, but it would really suck. I wouldn't really like it.
Didn't do.
That would make me very mad because it's not true.
I'd be really under pressure and try to prove myself innocent.
I feel very upset, hurt, betrayed even, to be blamed for something I didn't even do.
I'd feel appalled. I'd feel sadness, maybe a little bit of anger. I would also maybe feel a little distrust if it's something that my friends think I did. I mean, obviously that's my reputation that's being
feeling awful, wanting to clear their name. Now let's add a life sentence onto that. That's what happened to 29-year-old Reuben Carter in 1967. This brings us to the topic of today, false testimonies and their real-world consequences. The Reuben Carter trial in the 1960s started off with a triple homicide in the Lafayette Bar and Grill at 2:30 a.m. Witnesses described seeing a white car with an out-of-state license plate and butterfly taillights, which matched the car that John Artis and Reuben Carter were driving that day. They were questioned and later released. None of the witnesses at the time identified either one of them as the shooters. Neither of the two had any weapons in their possession, though two unused shells that were the same caliber that was used in the shooting were found in the car. Two witnesses later came forward named Alfred Bello and Dexter Bradley that were in the area robbing a building 2 blocks down. The reason they didn't come forward earlier was because they feared that they'd get in trouble for their own crimes. Artis and Carter were convicted on May 26, 1967, both with life sentences. Later in 1974, both Bello and Bradley recanted their testimonies, stating that they'd been pressured by the police and prosecution to identify Artis and Carter as the shooters. The judges overseeing the new trial hearings denied Artis and Carter's request for a new trial. After a series of appeals and a retrial that happened in 1967, in which the defense focused on evidence withheld from the previous trial that weakened the primary witness's testimony, the prosecution focusing on alibis that were either recanted or very loose, the results were the same for Carter. After that, the case landed in the U.S. District Court for the District of New Jersey, which overturned the 1967 convictions in 1985, which is when Carter was exonerated. With all the lying and changing of stories, this case reminds me of a much older and well-known case, the Salem witch trials. On to Michelle to talk more about these two trials.
Thank you, Owen. As you can see, in both the Salem witch trial and the Carter trial, there are wrongful convictions occurring. Not only this, but there's a bias within the authoritative and influential powers of the court. In the witch trial, it was Judge Thomas Danforth, and in the Carter trial, it was the all-white jury excluding just one black male. But then, the notable difference between these two cases is that in the Carter case, they were later proven innocent. But in the Salem witch trial, it ended with gruesome death. Back to you, Owen, for more on what you can do to prevent these tragedies from ever happening again.
There are many terrible consequences for wrong convictions, most never seeing the light of day. So what can we do to help prevent these tragedies from ever happening again? Well, lots of things have been proved in the 60s, but there's still many things we can do to help. One major way is to hold dishonest prosecutors and police officers accountable for their actions, as well as increasing public investment in the public defenders. There are many ways you can do this, by donating to organizations like the Innocence Project or the Center on Wrongful Convictions of Youth, or you can raise awareness yourself. This is Owen Hull and Michelle Dong, and that's today's news and segment.